Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Roster drama continues, certainly on the Bleed Esports side. It seems their organisation is now in full collapse. They've been kicked out of the VCT, and what does that mean for their former players? Certainly for a guy like Ye, unrestricted free agent, it seems now from Bleed Esports. Does that mean that he's locked in with Evil Geniuses? It's going to be happening very shortly indeed. Or what is going on with the EG roster after what happened a couple of weeks ago with these temporary rumours and Sim already back out of the team again, back to TSM? What's going on behind the scenes? Big information coming through last night. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, back to Berlin for the Game Changers World Championship. Few big series have happened over the last couple of days. Zip2 Esports took down Crew Blaze. That was a 2-1 result. Big game, of course, on the final map, the Pearl 13-9 from Kamiyu on the fade. Gets over the line. Zip2 move on to the tournament. SR, though, they eliminated Zip2 down to the lower bracket where that game was played by dominating them 2-0. This wasn't, I mean, look, Fluorescent again had a great series, but it wasn't as dominant in terms of the actual map count or round count as the numbers suggest. It was 13-8, 13-11. Still pretty comfortable, to be fair. And, you know, it wasn't exactly... You never really thought that SR were going to lose this, but at least there was something slightly more competitive in this map set than usual. But you look at the numbers and you think, well, you know, there is only one winner of this championship right now. We also had Zeta Division finally meeting their match in the lower bracket. And, yeah, this was a rough defeat in the end because Zeta made a nice run at the tournament representing Japan. They played MIBR GC in the end, and this one was ugly. I'll show you the sunset first, 13-3 on the pick of MIBR, so you're like, okay, maybe it went map 3. It didn't, because map 1 was Zeta's pick and they got 13 O's, and ASO had 0 frags. So, yeah, a rough map. In the other side, though, MIBR had gone down to G2 Gozen to get into that position. So, yeah, Zeta are out, MIBR are still in, G2 Gozen got a 2-1 victory here to get over the line. This was competitive there. MIBR won game 1 13-8, then it was 13-8, 13-4 in the end on the sunset. Petra and Vanya with great maps to close out the series. So, yeah, interesting developments, really. G2 Gozen looking pretty strong. Obviously, Shazam's been watching as well, seeing how these trends are progressing. But this is the way the bracket presently stands. So, yeah, Crew Blaze are gone. Zeta are gone. There are only 4 teams remaining now in the tournament. So it's Zip2, it's MIBR, and it's G2 Gozen SR on the upper side. This is really the big series, I would say, because... you know, if G2 Gozen can win this one, then sure. But in 6 or so hours' time, SR are going to try and win this series. And if they do so, they're certainly the favourites to do so. They will be, you know, odds-on favourites to win the entire championship. As always, there was, you know, some drama around this, as there always seems to be with GC. Mel was giving her perspective on that as of yesterday and some of the comments made in the community because, you know, like the GC World Championship is a standalone event. It happens when there's no other action going on. So, of course, it's always, and all of the relevant talking points are a massive conversation topic in the scene. And Mel's given her perspective, of course, on that. We've seen some controversy as well in terms of the way the season is structured with GC happening now. If players like Floor are willing and able to go to tier 2, offers would be there, but offers that, you know, unfortunately are not really able to be accepted because... well, as Sean Gare said from MXS the other day, they simply can't give offers because of the timings. They have to lock in their roster by the 17th of November, and the 17th of November is 2 days as soon as the Game Changers World Championship ends. So there's simply no way that the GC, the top GT players, can even try and get signed to Tier 2 right now, and that is a problem in terms of the progression that, you know, Riot say they want to see in this league. So there's various conversations that are being had. This I thought was pretty cool as well. They are running another topside versus Undercity 2 versus 5, pros versus noobs. So it's kind of funny that Toast is getting involved in this one as well. But yeah, and also Brook AV. But yeah, Tarek and Narrate are going to be your 2 pros versus 5. See how that one gets on, as we've seen it before. But let's talk about some roster stuff, because Loud, they've made the official confirmation Pancada is going to stay. And it's an interesting time for Pancada. He was on Sentinels. Of course, he was on Loud. Then he was on Sentinels, and then the organization Sentinels, they preferred Zelsis on the roster. That was the decision they made. Pancada was gone. They allowed him to walk. They allowed him to go and explore options. Loud gave him the best opportunity, but of course, Loud have now lost Sanak, their top guy. There are rumors, you know, they've lost Les as well. Their other top guy, he's gone to Vitality. Sanak has gone to Carmine Corps. They do still have Toys and Cowanzan, which is, you know, I guess better than nothing, right? And Pancada's still going to be there as well. But but the rebuilds they can build is maybe not going to be as strong as they would like it to be. So there are questions on that Brazilian region right now, just because over the last few years, many of the pros in Brazil have said, look, the league is based out of LA in North America. It makes things more challenging for Brazilian players from the tier 2 scene to get picked up and these other factors. And we're starting to see Brazilian teams considering, at the very least, hiring players from other regions, import North American players, stuff like this instead. And it is affecting, potentially at least, the competitiveness of the teams from South America. And now we're seeing Sadak and Less go to Europe. That is maybe compounded to some degree. So, yeah, Lauda re-signing Pancada through the 2026 season. They, believe that's going to be successful. What they do with the rest of their roster, there's some rumors about DG Zan and some other players getting involved in some of the organizations down in Brazil. And of course, MIBR have to confirm their roster as well around Aspas, as is the present rumor. There's also this team that apparently Barca Esports are going for Tino, going to be joining there with, of course, as you might expect, a majority Spanish team. But the other big update was on Vitality. They have another couple of coaching staff on their roster. They have Faded and Damien Marcel joining their team. So Vitality, they have a pretty serious super team, it's got to be said, on paper with the roster they formed, bringing in Les, bringing in Durka, obviously. They're trying to facilitate that with a solid coaching staff as well. Whether they will achieve the success that they want to is because, many are saying either Vitality are going to win a lot and they're going to be incredible, or they're going to be NRG 2.0 where they haven't really got the leadership they need, and the personalities might clash in a certain way that isn't necessarily so conducive to championship success. But let's talk about the Bleed Esports situation, right? Because as it stands, things are still somewhat up in the air. They were in the VCT. They're now no longer in the VCT. They would have had this season to prove their worth anyway. The new rule is that the teams that get through Ascension, if they qualify for champions, they definitely stay for another year. If they do okay in the regular season, they basically just earn their spot again or something, or maybe they have to play for it. And then if they do very badly in the regular season, they just straight up get relegated and somebody else comes in instead. So the teams that win Ascension really have to, instead of just getting 2 years guaranteed, which is what it was, what Bleed Esports are under, they change it so that, okay, you can maintain your spot if you do well enough, and if you don't, you're getting dropped. Bleed Esports were not dropped for those reasons. They were dropped because they have no money, and it was all smoke and mirrors, it seems, with whatever was going on with Mervin, Go, and the guys over in that organization at wild times. But Bleed, of course, had rosters in basically every single esport under the sun, and that was not just Valorant, of course. And we've started to see over the last couple of days or so that other organizations or other teams under the organization have started to give their perspective on what they are going to be doing. Because, for example, Dropped from the Apex Legends team of Bleed says that the entire team are now free agents and looking for an organization to represent at the Apex World Championship, I guess. We have terminated our contracts with Bleed effective immediately. This is due to the failure of fulfilling payments to the team. So this seems to be an interesting development where basically Bleed have not paid out these contracts, and therefore the contracts, at least at a certain point, will then become void. The players, given the fact that nobody at the C-suite of Bleed seems to want to respond to any of this type of stuff, has seemingly taken matters into their own hands and said, okay guys, we're just going to deal with this ourselves. And the contract, maybe they're talking to some lawyers for advice, contract lawyers, I don't know. But they've got to a point where they believe these contracts are now void, and therefore, they're going to terminate their contracts with Bleed based on whatever clauses might be in the contract. Now they can explore other opportunities. And maybe the same thing applies with Ye as well. I think this is the question, right? When all the drama happened, Ye did say, oh, I guess I'm an unrestricted free agent now. But whether that was officially true based on the contracts yet, I don't know. Just because there have been some rumors today that many of the other organizations are saying, okay, or the teams under the org are saying, all right, now's the time we can terminate the contract and be a UFA. That may be true for Ye as well. Now, of course, nobody on Bleed is really going to care if Ye goes because they've run out of money, obviously, and Ye was playing for EG at this tournament a couple of weeks ago, but he was not officially signed. That's the interesting thing. You go to Ye's profile, he's not a player for Evil Geniuses, despite the fact that we're pretty sure that he will be in the very near future. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below, because there's all this, temporary roster discussion around that team as well. And just the final thing to say, no quite clip of this because seemingly Twitch was having problems, but Demon1 is joining Leviathan, obviously, for the new season, replacing Aspas effectively on the roster. And apparently their coach says Ito Panta, he's going to be the full-time duelist of the team. So that kind of makes sense with what Leviathan are going to do. But yeah, it's interesting for Demon1 just because we know that when he had his real success on Evil Geniuses, he was a very versatile player. Sometimes he'd be using the Brimstone, sometimes other agents too. But of course, most effective generally on the duelist. That's where he is going to be employed at Lev. And there is going to be no more Aspas, of course, on the team in that role instead. We're pretty sure he's going to MIBR to, well, take his next steps as a player. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.